Campaigns will soon begin. By next month, people will roll out their drums, visiting all parts of Abia State to tell the people why they should be voted. They will be going about telling the people what makes them tick the best of the candidates. You will hear all manner of songs, all manner of promises. You will see all manner of people that will visit even the places they've not visited before. You will even see people eating okra on the main road with people. You will see some big men who you have not seen for the past 4 years eating akara. Well, with you, all in a bid to get your vote. That is what we are going to be seeing from next month when campaigns will begin. Abia will be electing a governor, 24 House of Assembly members, 6 House of Reps members, and 3 senators. Well, it is going to be an interesting thing. But among these people who have put themselves forward to represent the good people of one part of Abia State is the man that will be my guest this evening. He is a worthy son of Obiungba local government area, born and raised in Aba. He is a world-renowned petroleum engineer, a very young, vibrant person. I wonder what he's going to do in politics. Well, I am talking about the candidate of Labour Party for Abia South Senatorial District. Who is this world-renowned engineer that is my guest, petroleum engineer as the case may be, that is my guest? I'm going to unwrap him right away. I am talking about engineer Chinedu Onyeizu. Chinedu Onyeizu, as I said, is the Labour candidate for the senatorial candidate of the Labour Party for the people of Abia South Senatorial Zone. Chinedu Onyeizu is highly educated. When I say educated, very, very highly educated. He attended the following schools: Umuocham Primary School, Aba here, Ngwa High School, Aba, and finished up at the famous Dorothy International Secondary School, Aba. He went further to the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, where he read petroleum engineering and came out tops. When I mean tops, the best of the year. He didn't stop at that. He went to Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, USA, where he also distinguished himself and got Sloan, he was awarded Sloan Fellow. He also graduated tops. His research work at MIT was featured on MIT Technology Experts Forum. I can tell you that he got a distinction in MBA. He went further to Heriot-Watt University, UK, for master's degree in strategic planning. Again, he came out tops of his class. Well, Chinedu Onyeizu did his youth service in Abia State. Despite the fact that he was earning less than $100, he committed his meager resources, time, expertise, and energy to humanity. Of course, he ran in that particular year, which was unheard of for a core member. He was running free eye clinic and medical outreach for the people of Kayama, local government area of Abia State. And within that period, there were 12 British eye doctors that were doing this thing for him. That is no mean feat, I can tell you. At the end of the day, more than 67 poor and less privileged people of Abia State had their eyesight restored. I can applaud this. Well, like a goldfish that has no hiding place, after his NYSC, Chinedu Onyeizu got employed with the Petroleum Technology Development Fund, PTDF, and he was a research associate in the gas group. He so distinguished himself that his work at the research center earned him the Best Young Engineer Award in West Africa. And this was given to him by Penway Petroleum Group of the United Kingdom. In 2007, he joined Chevron Nigeria Limited as a research engineer, where he quickly climbed through the ranks to occupy higher positions and higher responsibilities. In 2010, Chinedu Onyeizu joined the Power Group France, where he represented Chevron in a joint venture project with Total Nigeria Limited. He did not stop at that. I said he is a good fish. In 2012, he worked in Louisiana, USA for 4 years. Like I said, this man, despite being so comfortable in his comfort zone, he had decided to venture in politics. In 2019, he joined politics on the platform of the APC, and he was the youngest senatorial aspirant across the country. Today again, he is also involved in politics. He is the Labour senatorial candidate of the Labour Party to represent Abia South Senatorial Zone, made up of Obingwa, Ugunabo, Aba North, Aba South, Okwa East, and Okwa West. I am talking about Engineer Chinedu Onyeizu as my guest. Engineer Onyeizu, welcome to the Village Square.
Thank you very much, Sam.
All right. Engineer Onyeizu, this is the Village Square, and we shall be asking you very important questions which people are asking there. Let me ask you this question, sir. You have very nice profile. You have very nice work going for you. I won't be wrong if I say you are in your comfort zone. Very young, very enterprising, highly educated. Why are you in politics? What is motivating you?
Thank you, Stanley, for having me in your program. First of all, I'm in politics so that young Nigerians, particularly the ordinary Aba boy or girl, would be motivated or inspired to see politics. The place he can play and supporting the nation building. But I hope that have decided to join politics because of over 100 million Nigerians currently living on the poverty line. I care about Nigerians that drop into poverty every minute. So I'm in politics because we cannot be blessed with different forms, different types of natural resources as a country, including crude oil. And we import petroleum products and then pay subsidies. Products that are byproducts of the crude oil. So I'm in politics because I believe a restructured Nigeria will fit these challenges.
Thank you very, very much. Okay. Go ahead.
So the truth is that the economy is in a state of emergency. We have problems across the country. We need young people that are exposed, that are educated, that can join politics and help fix the challenges we have in the country.
Interesting. You are in politics to ensure that Nigeria becomes better. You have mentioned some indices that 100 million Nigerians have slipped into poverty, living below $100 per day. That is interesting. Now, let me ask you. You were in APC until recently. Now you are flying on the wings of Labour Party to become a senator that will represent the good people of Abia South Senatorial District. One will wonder, why Labour Party now?
Well, I've been confronted with that question separately. So my time in APC was supposed to be shocking, but because of the experience I had in the last national primary election in Chinedu Square, I decided to resign the day after that primary election. I was disappointed with the selection of Dr Stanley, the flag bearer of the APC party. And I stayed that long in APC because I had hoped that the party was going to select a Southeastern presidential candidate to balance the power equation in the country. I believe that the Southeastern who has the capacity and competence to govern Nigeria will help calm the nerves that we see from our young people in this part of the country. But when I was disappointed with the outcome of the primary election exercise, I had to fall back to my principle, which is to hold dear to the integrity of this country and the importance of making sure that we are represented and recognized as key stakeholders of the project Nigeria.
Well, it is. I'm surprised to hear that you left your former party, the APC, because certain things conflicted with your principles, which you didn't want to compromise. And you didn't even leave because you were chased away or because you were not given a ticket. You left because you wouldn't want to compromise your principles. Interesting. And you mentioned two of the things you mentioned are so interesting to me, that you were disappointed at the outcome of the APC primaries in Abuja, where to you the wrong person was elected. I don't want to mention anybody's name. Somebody who you thought or still think shouldn't be the one who was elected. And two, most importantly, that you were thinking that an Igbo man should have been selected during APC primaries. Unfortunately, they didn't give it to an Igbo man, and you decided now to come back home and do a rethink. Did I hear you right?
Yes. In addition to that, the level of confusion that emerged APC in Abia State, very difficult for bright minds like myself, bright minds like Dr. Alex Oti, to emerge as the gubernatorial candidate of the party in the state. At this point in our development as a country, we need to start looking at or asking questions of the capacity and pedigree of people that will represent us if we must come out of the situation we are in as a country. So if APC could not give us the platform to project quality candidates for positions like governorship, senatorial, and other elected positions, I think it's right for any passionate, any patriotic Nigerian politician to make the call that I made.
Quite interesting. You were angry that an Igbo man was not selected by any of the other two major parties, and one of the parties has an Igbo man. Are you comfortable with that? No.
Yes. Not only because he's an Igbo man, he's also the most qualified candidate amongst his friends.
And we are talking about here?
Governor Peter Obi.
All right. I wanted to hear it from you so that I do not say what you didn't say. All right. Engineer Chinedu Onyeizu, you are highly educated. Your profile is interesting and intimidating. I must commend you. You are roundly educated, very highly educated. But last week, you made a comment that what we couldn't interpret. You said that people are playing politics with the future of the children of Abia State, and that you are not comfortable with that. You are frowning at it, but it's not too clear to us. What does that imply?
Well, Stanley, the truth is that we are not only, gambling with the future of Abia State.
You use gambling. I love that. That was the right word to use.
Yes, that's what we are not only playing or gambling with the future of Abia State with the development in Abia politics. We are in fact gambling with the future of Abia State itself, because over the years, our children should be seen as an asset. Our children in school should be seen as an asset and the future of tomorrow. So today, with the accreditation of only Abia Polytechnic that has been withdrawn over non-payment of they said 30 months salary to lecturers and the institution. I understand AFSU and technical college in has the same fate. So it's very sad, that it's very sad that when we have a government has forgotten the last time it pays salary, it becomes difficult to also advise them. Now, let me highlight the two main opportunities we are toiling with. One, if you hold back salaries of teachers, you are shrinking the economy of the state. So it's imperative that teachers and other workers in the state are promptly paid, in order to put more money in the hands of the people. So, and this is basic principles of development economy. What I'm telling you is what we call velocity of money. If you use the incident that played out during the U.S. Great Depression, the government had to give money to soldiers and able-bodied men and women to dig the ground, bury put back soil on the ground just to be paid. The idea was to pass on funds, put money in the hands of people. Because when you put money in the hands of people, the effect of velocity of money plays in. The 1 naira, the 10 naira that Mama Nkechi is paid by a teacher gets to be used to buy sandals for Nkechi. So the money goes round. The economy expands. So when you have a government that holds back the salary of its lecturers, its workers, and its teachers, don't really understand the effect of what they are doing. So it's shrinking the economy on one part. Then the second opportunity we are missing is the opportunity to use the students to establish an enterprising tertiary institution that sits in the same geopolitical space like area where you have a lot of startups and small businesses. So if I were the governor, instead of approving some 450 million handouts every month for running Abia Poly, I will set up a business incubation hub in Abia Poly, or what we call accelerator hub in places like Silicon Valley and Kendall Square. Put it under the Department of Business Studies. And the intent will be to make Abia Poly an enterprising entity, a revenue source, instead of being a revenue sink. Then I will challenge the lecturers to match the business students in that department to small startups and existing businesses in our area. The students will teach the businesses what scaling is all about. They will help them raise funds from venture capitalists and private equity firms. And then in return, the school can take equity. Okay, let me use an example. A shoemaker in Aba produces about 30,000 pairs of shoes per year on average, and then makes a margin of 1,500 per shoe that is sold. So he makes about 45 million naira in a year. So if a student can help double that return to 90 million for 5% equity, that translates to 4.5 million naira per business. So look at this model. If you grow it for over 200,000 shoemakers in our area, you are looking at returning about 900 billion naira per year by Abia Poly alone. So assuming we achieve 10%, which is 90 billion, maybe as a result of one or two things we are not putting into consideration, you agree with me that the problem of payment of salaries will find resolved. So schools should be enabled to be independent and support the state. So that's what I think about the Abia Poly issue. The government needs to wake up and take more responsibility. They need to come up with more innovative ways of making the institution financially independent, and the revenue source. More importantly, the revenue source for the state and the university and the institution itself.
Are you there?
Yes.
All right. All right. A little correction. The 450 million naira was approved to help offset the salaries. What the government releases is actually 90 million naira per month. So as an aspiring senator, Abia Poly is in your senatorial district. If you pass, you'll be representing even students of Abia State Polytechnic. Beyond those other things you said, what would you do as an individual and as a senator if you become the senator to help solve the problem of education, not just in Abia Poly, but in your senatorial zone?
Okay, so first of all, I will promote laws that will ultimately cut. I think we need to cut the cost of governance in the country so that we can allocate more funds to tertiary institutions, both state and federal government owned institutions. 90 million naira per month will not suffice to cater for their major immediate issues and current expenses. So I think we are spending a lot of money. The government is spending a lot of money servicing itself. 70% of Nigeria's revenue is used to pay the current expenses in the country. So we need to cut the cost of governance and move that fund to supporting tertiary institutions in the country. So apart from encouraging universities, tertiary institutions to be financially independent, the government needs to also do its own part by cutting down the cost of governance. One other thing I will pursue in my first tenure as a senator is to make Abia Poly a federal polytechnic. I think it's important. The institution has shown over time that it has everything to attract the attention of the federal government.
All right. Away from that, you are a renowned world-class petroleum engineer, and Abia is a petroleum producing state. We are a member of the NDDC, and if you ask me, I do not see the positive effects of petroleum deposits or crude oil deposits we have in Abia State. If you go to Okwa, which is part of the area you are going to represent, they have this oil and the impact is not felt there, except a few poorly constructed roads there. I have visited Okwa. On several occasions, I began to wonder, is this actually a people that have petroleum, that some money accrued to the state from that source? So, as a renowned and experienced petroleum engineer, how would you ensure that Ndiabia benefit from the petroleum we have for the good of Ndiabia beyond these things NNDC and the rest are doing?
Okay, so I think the Nigerian energy policy and laws are still not where it should be. If you compare with what you have in India, one of the first things I would do in the Senate is to propose laws, a more holistic energy law that will include developing the value chain of petroleum resources. So basically, there are two main products that come out of the process. You have crude oil and you have natural gas. What we are used to doing is to sell crude oil as crude oil. We need to look beyond that and make sure that any company producing crude oil from any community has a plan to set up a refinery so that the last part of the value chain of crude production is explored. We refine our crude locally, make sure we meet our domestic demand for petroleum products. It will create employment for our people in Okwa. It will also help reduce or even eliminate over time the subsidy payment that we do every year. This year alone, the Senate has approved 4 trillion naira for payment of subsidy. And it is ridiculous. That has to stop. Nigeria produces crude, sends it to Singapore, it gets refined, and we pay $10 per metric ton to return it back to Nigeria and consume it as fuel. That is the worst scenario any country can be in that has such huge deposits of crude oil, in reserves. Then we talk about the gas that we flare in Owaza or area too. We should also explore value chain development for gas. The natural gas there can be converted to fertilizer, LPG, CNG. These are byproducts that, as you are producing, you are adding value to them. In return, they will pay taxes, royalties to the Okwa community, employ our children, and help grow our economy as a country. So that's why I say the PIA bill and the current energy policy in Nigeria has to be unpacked so that we can look at it and add, include laws that can help us, optimize or maximize the benefit of having that resource in our land. And just to let you know, Nigeria's crude is the best form of crude in the world. It is called sweet crude because it has zero trace of sulfur. Sulfur is the major challenge with crude refining in any part of the world. So Nigeria's crude at sometimes are used to mix or grade the kind of food that comes from places like Russia. So is it not madness that we take our crude to other parts of the world to be refined and then returned as diesel fuel? And we also pay for you to bring it back to us to consume. So these are the kind of things we need to think about if I go there as a senator. These are the things I need to sit vis-a-vis, because I hope and I know that he is going to be the next president of this country. We need to sit down with the executive. We need to start looking at how we maximize the natural resources God has given us, so that the employment that is being expatriated in refinery jobs abroad, we bring it back home here. Nothing is wrong with us having refineries in Opa and then export petroleum products to regional countries like Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and other parts of the. So these are the things that have, brought me into politics, and I'm propped up to help anybody that is ready to fix this country, fix the country for the benefit of Nigeria.
Thank you. That is experience there in practice. You are really talking in practical terms what needs to be done. And I can't imagine a situation where we take our crude to Singapore, they refine it there, we pay them, we pay 10 naira to bring it back, and we pay subsidy. You said 4 trillion naira, pay that subsidy. And all these things are affecting us. And I know that your kind of person is capable of ensuring that this ugly trend is changed. You mentioned who you believe will be the next president of Nigeria. Well, I won't ask you a question on that. I'll wait for you next month so that you come and prove or tell us why you believe that the person you mentioned is Nigeria's next president. You'll be telling us that. Now, let me ask you. You are very young. I wouldn't say inexperienced, because based on what you have done, you are experienced. But in politics, I do not know how experienced you are. You are up against some big wigs, some political gladiators in your senatorial zone. Now, for instance, among the 3 senatorial zones, yours is the highest and it's going to be the hottest by my own estimation. You'll be squaring it with a sitting senator that has been there getting to 16 years. You are going to be up against a sitting governor. I hope you realize that. So what stands Chinedu Onyeizu out?
Well, Stanley, I think at this point we are in the country and in our economy. We need to look beyond loyalty. I want to use this opportunity to challenge young people, youths in Abia State and other parts of the country to start asking questions before they vote. They can collect the money or take the money that will be given to them, but to make sure that you vote based on your conscience, and that should be driven by the quality of programs and laws the candidates are putting up. If it's our young people in Abuja and they will say our Mumu don't do. That's what Charlie Boy will tell you. The youth are tired of failed promises by older politicians. I have 2 of them that are major gladiators, as you mentioned. One of them, is happy to pay a pregnant woman and her newborn 500 naira after going through labor. But I'll tell you, at the minimum, I believe our women should not go home with less than 50,000 naira. One of our candidates has forgotten the last time he paid salaries to hardworking parents, to our mothers, pensioners, who have labored and who desire decent returns in their retirement life. I've given stories. This is not saying, this is kind of presentation we will do. And the person wants to retire after leaving office in the Senate. So I wouldn't know the kind of quality of laws and oversight functions he will discharge there. Then the other gladiator has spent 20 years in government, 16 years sitting as 16 years as a sitting senator, and 4 years as a deputy governor. So if you have done if you have done the same thing over years and the result has not changed, I think it's time the person considers supporting another candidate. So what stands me out is that I am the biblical David confronting 2 Goliaths that have knelt on our neck for years as a people. I am the only candidate who begs to be scrutinized. I want our people to scrutinize me and hold me accountable after the first tenure, not even 2 terms. Because, I want to make promises that I will defend after the first 4 years. So I'm the only candidate whose children, too, very important, school here in Nigeria. Because I need them to feel the pain and also see the opportunities that come with being a Nigerian student. The others are all abroad. Their kids are abroad. No, so finally, I'm the only candidate who lives in an ordinary bungalow, despite all the opportunities I've had in life. While the others stay in affluence, basking in luxury. So that is how you define a true leader that is patriotic. So these are the reasons why I stand up. We must take back our country. We must look out for those that are selfless in service. And the time is now. Thank you.
All right. We must look out for selfless people. And we can find selfless people if we look thoroughly. Engineer Chinedu Onyeizu, the question I have just received here says I should ask Engineer Chinedu Onyeizu what he has done for the people so far to deserve a higher responsibility, to deserve their confidence, to deserve to represent them in the hallowed chambers of the National Assembly, and that is the Senate. This question is coming from a listener. Are you ready to answer that?
Of course, Sandy. So I'm coming from a private sector, of course. But looking back, I've used my mega resources to fund the Chinedu Onyeizu Foundation. I have a foundation that spends time with widows and less privileged women on the 31st of December every year. The idea is to make sure that, if the year wasn't good for you, we will celebrate you for being one of our mothers, despite how difficult life could be. So we'll give out some gifts and humanitarian items. We also provide scholarships to young Nigerians, in Abia State, especially in my senatorial district, that are intelligent and they want to further their education.
All right. That is interesting to hear that there are things you have already done. And more interesting is the fact that you did it with your hard-earned money and not money you got from the government. All right. Chinedu Onyeizu, you are an ABU, a typical Aba brought up. You are from Obingwa local government area, born and raised here in Aba. You attended your primary school and your secondary school here in Aba, from Omocham Secondary School to Ngwa High School to Dority International, all in Aba. It means that you are conversant with Aba very, very well. The youth of Aba deserve attention, you would agree with me. What are your programs for Aba youths? In fact, youths in your senatorial zone.
Job creation. We have to work closely with the executive to make sure that our young people that graduate from the university get quality jobs. The ones that couldn't make it to the university, that have acquired some skills, we want to make sure that they are busy. So the problem in Aba is that, and this I attribute it to the kind of the quality of leadership we have in Abia State. If we have a leadership that is celebrating Mr. Biggs, Chicken Republic, and this market square as investor, as foreign direct investment, what happens is that, and this is basic economics, the payment that is made to graduates that are employed in those establishments is a function of the level of revenue that they see on a monthly basis. So you have a graduate from Abia Poly who ends up in any of these Chicken Republic type of establishment and gets paid 20,000 in a month. Meanwhile, that same skill set walks home with about 2.5 million naira working for Apple or Dell Computers somewhere in Lagos. So, first of all, the economic structures that we need to attract to Abia South has to change. Our leaders have to have a different mindset. We need to bring in companies that leverage advanced technologies and complex processes to churn out their products and services. It is when you bring or attract such level of or such type of industry that they will employ our youths, pay them well, so that they also would have a higher willingness to bring out money and support the microeconomy of Abia State. So job creation is critical. And I know it's a secondary responsibility as a senator, where my primary responsibility is making laws and oversight function. But we need to, I will sit down with the executive, the governor of the state, and other stakeholders to make sure that job creation is prioritized within my first tenure in office.
That is quite interesting. You sound too confident, don't you?
Yes, I think my election will be the easiest if I look back. Because I'm contesting against two people that have failed woefully. One has spent 15 years, one to do 20 years doing the same thing. On the other hand, I have a governor who also has not done well. The people are tired. So I tell people my election will be the easiest, and by God's grace, with P2B, who is committed to change, youths are seeing the opportunity in getting value or getting dividends of democracy by supporting a youth like them who is committed and ready to do the work.
Chinedu Onyeizu sees himself as the biblical David that will kill Goliath. I heard him say that today. I'm just quoting you.
Well, that's why I started by saying that I would love to be held accountable for the things I say today. In a couple of weeks, my manifesto will come out. I will produce it and share it with Abians. And I want to know where, after 4 years, they will sit me down and say, you promised this, we've seen it or not seen it. You promised this, we've seen it or not seen it. Until we start asking questions and start getting involved in what our candidates or people who want to elect in office will do and would have done, we won't be able to change the country. So I'm not trying to boil the ocean here. That is why I've narrowed down to 4 specific areas that I will tackle head on. One, the second one, education. Abia Police type of scenario in my mind. The third one, energy and infrastructure. If you fly to Abia State through Port Harcourt and you drive from Port Harcourt Airport to Abia, you understand what I mean when I mention infrastructure.
We do.
Hello, Honorable. Good evening, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Honorable Chinedu Onyeizu. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, my brother.
Okay,
good evening.
Okay. My name is Emmanuel Sunday. I want to
So Ibogani.
Okay.
So what happened?
otu iji kwamene address n'otu iji kwuchi okwu anyị nabatakwara ya and o nwere onye ọbụla mkperịkọta mbụ youth nọ na Nigeria nghọtagbuo na situation Nigeria nọ mgbe ihe meziri ichenji gatala aka ndị mmekwa nnuduka uche a iji ọnụkwala otu a nna m okwu Uche Ogbuagụ mere bụ Uche Ogbuagụ na-ejikwa eji agwa anyị okwu so alaikren ọ bụrụ lọg ebe mma na otu na ijide agwa anyị okwu gbuo lọg ebo anyị votu P2B ya bụrụ president anyị ya bụkwara na gịnwagbuo nke ị nọra under this Abia as our senator gị nyere anyị aka na ụmụ okorobịa atala ahụhụ daadị ma ndị ichila ndị ngwọrọ ndị na-adịghị otu uwe nnọ atala wa ahụhụ inyekwa nna anyị aka ọnụ tụkwara n'anyị ọnọdụ Aba anyị nwekwana ike chetụkwa n'ọchị ọ ga-eterela mma sa. Thank you, sir.
Chinedu Onyeizu gị moto onye mkpọrọ mbụ onye okoro atọ iji agba okoro atọ ebe kewa
I'll go him to that. Let me just point out something.
As brief as you could be.
This is about creating wealth in Abia. What we can do in Abia can transform not only Nigeria but Africa.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. We want to take more calls.
You know that Vietnam 2021 exported footwear worth $20 billion. Abia and from Abia State did less than Nigeria on footwear did less than $300 million. So we have young people that have capacity, have energy, have everything it takes to overtake a country like Vietnam.
All right, sir. We'll take more calls.
These are the kind of things I would like to.
All right, thank you. Let's have more calls. Hello.
My name is Only. We from Mama South State.
Okay, you have 1 minute.
Honorable Chinedu Onyeizu.
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you.
Banyata radio guru.
I need to put a walk around that again. They got in that place. You need to put it online. But then they're about the word 8.
Adema email Chinedu Onyeizu egega word 8 aga.
Of course. I am no coordinator. I'll come to all the wards. I'll visit all the wards. There will be town hall sessions. To be your questions, I will answer. We will carry you along. You are the person we are going to represent. So you are important.
Thank you very much. More calls are coming. Hello.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Your name and where you are calling from?
Okay, because I'm going to
all right.
Yeah, and make our guest because them to be one in fact, I'm going to put Junior because they can live well. This is just now by here. So you could do my fault because there was a people who want to come and be coach. I want to go and don't come. I'm not going to make you have your honor and the Nigeria honor. So because I am a campaign. So when to tell you because some experience about this oil and getting very difficult in Nigerian government, the final this country.
All right. Ajojo maramba Chinedu Onyeizu egeza ajojo.
Oh, okay. Imalala federal government unfortunately when petroleum crude oil, we are not exclusively of the federal government, meaning that it's only federal government that can legislate or determine what happens to the resource. But one of the major policies and laws they promote to go to restructure Nigeria so that the states can take a decision on how they want to develop their resources. If we achieve that, the next thing they are able bring in foreign direct investors. Crude oil, fuel, diesel, and other products.
Thank you very much.
One of his son, local government.
Bagani.
Chinedu Onyeizu, I know you na radio. But in the ground in Nigeria, we don't when you are not people. I know you
Imagine the next outside Abia State. Manda kwa bomnege chani.
So, near many me, I got to leave food. So, Bania, as a young man, Bania, let him go Krubia. Let the one do I get one, I don't know what I need villages. So, I got to leave food to them.
Thank you. Thank you. Ndekanye Slobo Emira Wogugu. Emira wanna see Kenya to Quada Nidia Nolo. Okay, Barachonia Bula.
Yes, I'm here. Good evening.
Gani.
Okay.
Okay, because anụla okwu lile and ọ dịkwa na anyị obi mma n'ihi na anyị need somebody nkwụ ka Honorable Uche Ogbuagụ ta gwa anyị okwu n'ihi na onye ọbụla nsị anyị na ike okwu la eji believe in talking too much okwu anyị need ya n'ihi na odula ha okwu ọ gaghị fight ịnọchi ata anyị so anyị need kwa na okwu na gboo mbọ otu edekwa anyị ihe na gboo la redio ya bụkwara mgbe ha ga-efu ya bụkwara ha ga-ide emere anyị anya ba ahụ ya anya n'ihi na ilela aba na gboo ọtụtụ ndị ndọwa akwa and la steeti anyị na-amị agboo kwanụ kwesịkwa nna otu ndị ọdọ mbi na-adịkwa na-enemara anyị enemara ha adịkwa na-adịrị ogwe anyị mma ya bụkwa nna na ogwe anyị agakwana nsọ ịnọ ndị ishiwe nnọnụ otu nnọnụ gbuo dịkwa ndị ngwọrọ nnọnụ enwe weghe eri dịkwana ndị isi dịnụ na-enyechu nkịta wa afọ everyday bikonu donu nleta anyị ọ ga-ederegala m na ị ga-enwe ime eke
ọ dị mma. All right, thank you, Chinedu Onyeizu. Our time is up. Could you please respond and give your parting shot? I wish we had more time.
Yes, I know. So I want to just use the remaining minutes to thank you all for listening to me. I want to beg and challenge every youth that has a future in this country to stay back. There is no need to run. A lot of youth have been leaving this country. But stay back and have hope that the P2B Chinedu Onyeizu team will bring succor. We will bring hope to this country. We will get a new Nigeria by God's grace.
Thank you very much.
With your help.
Thank you for being part of this show this evening. Chinedu Onyeizu, thank you for being part of this show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall let you go now. Let's do it again next week. Remain law abiding. I am Dr. Stanley Nduagu. Goodbye.